Hello. Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Testing, testing. Martika, are you there? Hello. Hey. Is there something that says like join broadcast or something like that? Nice. No? Yeah, it's still showing me I had 0 viewers. So. What's that? Okay. All right, I will jump out now. Sounds good. So I don't know how you can speak though. Can you type me questions? Can you enter anything in the group chat? It's all right. We'll just stay on the phone and we'll have this screen share for you and that'll work. All right. So I don't know if it all the way has synced up with Dropbox, but I did some work on this morning. If you go out to LCA Active Project Style Guide, Sample Ads, the first thing we need to do is I set up some folders in there for 4x6, 8x11, and 600x600. Can you see that on my screen? A little behind. That's weird. Google Hangout needs to get its shit together. Is my screen caught up now? No, I'm really behind. That's really weird. All right. Anyway, you'll have this for recorded if you need to go back and look at it. But there's 3 folders in here: 4x6, 8.5 by 11, 600 by 600. It was kind of hard for me to figure out which was which. So let's put whatever the current prod file is for those in the respective folder they go in. So for 4x6, whatever one is your prod version of that, throw it in there. So then I went through. You'll see in here. There should be some PDFs that are dated for today. I went through and did an example of the 4-color photo and how that would work for the 4x6 one. So I just need you to duplicate that for the 8.5 by 11 and the 600 by 600. So in each one of those folders should be the monocolor of each one and then the full color version of each one. And then also, if you look in 600 by 600, if my screen ever catches up with you, I put in web ad preview. And this is probably where we need to make sure my screen is caught up because I'm going to show you how to do this. So just let me know when Photoshop opens up on your version of the screen. I went ahead and set up what those that sort of pulled apart look, how that works. So I just wanted to walk you through that real quick. Okay, so you can see that now. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did this, and I did this in about 10 minutes, and you've got a sample. So after you get all those files built, we need to make one of these for each one of the files. So start by getting my Illustrator file open. And this is why it's important that we had those layers set up correctly. All right, can you see Illustrator on your screen? Okay, let me know. Let me know when you can. Is your Dropbox syncing by chance? Yeah, click on that icon and click pause syncing, and maybe that'll help speed this video. Oh, nice. Well, then that's not the problem. I paused mine, so maybe that'll make it better. Still no Illustrator on your end? Nice. It's like I'm too fast for myself. Okay, so yeah, we're a solid like minute behind. Can you see the ad in Illustrator? Okay, so can you see in the layers palette, I have it text, color, and then it's just layer 1, but that's the photo layer. Okay, so each of these are on their own layer, so I can bring them one at a time in Photoshop. So I'm gonna click my photo layer first, copy that. I have a Photoshop artboard set up as an 8.5 by 11 that's in landscape. You can use the same one and just save as the different version. And then I paste it into here. It's going to ask me if I want to bring it as a smart object, pixels, path, or shape layer. Smart object, path, and shape layer will all be bigger files, but they will retain the vector qualities from Illustrator. We don't really care about that because we're going to distort it anyway, so we're going to bring it as pixels to save some file size. And when you paste it like that, it's going to bring it in at the exact size it is. We're going to hit Enter to place it into the document. And then while that's placing, we're going to go back to Illustrator. If my computer will catch up. Then we're going to turn off the photo layer, turn on the color layer. And this one, we're going to have to take in this 2 separate chunks because we've got the top one that's set to multiply over the photo, and we've got the bottom color that isn't set to multiply. So we have to bring those individually into Photoshop. So I'm just going to select the top one, copy that, paste it into Photoshop. Again, pixels is fine. Enter to place. Go back, grab my second color bar, copy, go to Photoshop, paste, enter to place. And then my last layer I have to select is the text layer. So I'm going to select all of that. And I'm going to paste that. Now, once we have all 3 of these items brought into Illustrator or into Photoshop, we can resize them as one group. So let me know once you're caught up. Can you see me in Photoshop? Or is layer 8? All right, let me know once the text layer is on there. I wonder if it's just consistently behind a minute or if it catches up and slows down. Well, if nothing else, you're getting an audio walkthrough that you can watch the video after if you need to. I said, if nothing else, you're getting an audio walkthrough, and then you can watch the video later if you need to catch up on it. It's like radio design. All right, so after I get all my images placed into Photoshop, then what I need to do is scale them down. So I'm just going to use Command-T or Edit Transform and scale those things down. And I'm going to turn on my example file just so you can sort of see the image size of everything. And then I'm going to use a combination of the transform perspective and skew tools. So if you go to Edit in Photoshop, Transform, and then there's Skew. You can take the Skew tool and move the corners to make it appear as if it's in space. And I will wait till that part catches up to you to make sure you understand what that is. Yeah, under that there's the folder that says Web Ad Blown, and I just turned that on to use as an example so I can line this up. So that you can do that with your other files. You can open up my example one and just use that to kind of line them up, instead of having to rethink the perspective every time. So let me know once you get back to where it's just one flat ad that kind of looks like it's in perspective. And then I turned off, once I turn off that example file. If you want to transform this to make it look like it's in perspective, you use Edit, Transform, and then Skew. Okay, so it's important that you do that skew all in one motion, because if I go back and try to do it now, because it's been transformed, the skew corners don't line up with the image anymore. Let me know when you can see the bounding box. Okay, so you can see now that I've hit Edit Transform Skew, the corners of the bounding box don't line up with the corners of the file anymore. So it's really hard to now transform this in space. So that's why you have to do it all in one motion. So once you place in all those files, then you go to Edit, Transform, and Skew. And apparently take the trash out. You got to do it all at one time. That way, these all 4 of the layers line up correctly. You know, the exact same proportion and perspective and space. Does that make sense? Okay. So now that we have those all lined up, they match our example file. Now we're going to go ahead and separate these out. So I know this is my text layer. So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to use my arrow keys and just move it up in space and a little bit over to illustrate that it's the top layer. And I'm going to take my top color layer and set it to multiply so that it looks like our ad does. And then I'm going to take this bottom bar and I'm going to line that up with the photo. But it's not lining up. Why is that? So that doesn't make a lot of sense. But to fix it, I'm going to go Edit, Transform, Skew, and just drag my corners and try to make this line up. And then I'm going to take my photo layer and bring it down and over. And then I'm going to take the drop shadow from this bottom layer here and duplicate it onto my bottom layer. And then you can take all of your art files, select them, and press Command G to group, and give them a title, group of flyer, ad images, whatever you want to call them. And now we just duplicated what I did here. Let me know when you can see the final product. Does that look good? Does that seem to make sense to you? And then the only other thing I did to finish this off was I went File, Place, and got the actual ad that we're using as an example and placed it in the top right corner. So I have it here, and I just placed it up there so they can see what it looks like all together and then see it down here as being blown apart. So we need to do that for the 8.5 by 11, the 4 by 6, and then we need to do versions of them with the color version as well. So let's close that. I'm not going to save that because we already have one done for that. So I wrote here in this chat, the first thing we need to do is set up the folders, and then you need to get all those files ready for each version. One thing I noticed is that all the files have the foundation lockup on them, so they all say Educational Foundation of Lambda Chi Alpha. If you go out to, trying to find one. if there's not already one in there, I'll throw it in the style guide folder, but there's a Lambda Chi one that just says Lambda Chi Alpha and then a lifetime of true brotherhood. And that's for the fraternity, so we need to show that on most of them. We can keep the foundation on like one of those ads, but we need to show the rest of them with the fraternities lockup. I'd look through these Lambda Chi files after I get off the call with you. I'll go through them and look and see if it's there, and if not, I'll throw it in the style guide folder for you. Now let me find my Hangout window again. Okay, and then so after you get that, once you get all those files done, let's try and touch base again, maybe after lunch. And then once I make sure that all those flyers look good, then you can move on to making those mock-ups like I showed you in Photoshop. And then after we get those done, I'll have you just reach out to Andrew Talovich directly and give him the files. Just say, hey, we finished these. Here's the example ads. Good to go. Sound good? You think you can get that done today? So I will send you a link. Once I press stop broadcast, it will auto post to my YouTube channel, and then I will go make it private so random people can't watch my instructional video on the style guide. And then I'll send you a link to it. Sounds good? Let's plan on talking sometime after lunch. Later.